Today on the Diz List, we count down our top 10 pre-shows at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything at Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today we get back to our top 10s. Do we get back to it? We've done a couple top 10s.
We've done a couple top 10s in the history. Yeah.
There aren't really a lot more than 10.
No. I mean, so we're doing the pre-shows, and when you Google like what rides have pre-shows, to get to 10 or to get above 10, you're looking at stuff that isn't really a pre-show.
Right.
Like somebody said they had Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That's not a pre-show.
No.
That's a queue.
It's exactly the same as,
that's just
the
a
one
queue.
right across the street with Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, it's a queue.
Just stuff to do.
I agree.
Or Peter Pan.
Yeah. So this is not, we're not going to be talking about the queue. We'll be talking about the pre-shows.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of in our pre-show here before halftime.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff you wanted to bring up.
A lot of stuff. First one is this weekend they started doing test track previews.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
I did not watch the test track preview. I watched the line walkthrough, which maybe talked a little bit in the second half of this show.
I watched both.
You did watch?
I watched it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was it?
Without spoilers.
No, because I'm going to watch it, so you can tell me.
But listeners may not want it spoiled either.
Okay.
I will say this without giving anything away. The way that it's redone, it doesn't. I'm assuming the track is exactly the same, but the way that the ride is done, it seems short, but I know it's not. It's just the way that I can't say anymore because I don't want to spoil it for people.
Yeah.
But it just seems like, oh, that's it. But that's all.
All right.
Again, we can spoil the pre-show because that's not a big deal and that's out there.
Yeah.
But the actual ride is, I think the track is the same.
Yeah.
A lot of the elements are still there. That was there previously. Same. This isn't really a spoiler. Everyone expected this would happen. The doors open and you go outside and you
still get to buy a car when you're done.
Yes. Okay. They're General Motors. It's not all the Chevys that it was, or it's all the GMC vehicles. So.
GMC as well.
Yeah, I think it's only GMC from what I saw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, so that test track previews are going on.
Cool.
Looks fun. I'll get to experience it in a couple weeks when I'm there. So I'm looking forward to telling everybody what my thoughts were. I seemed, from what I saw, I was like, oh, that looks fun. Like if I were to give it thumbs up, thumbs down, I would say thumbs up.
Cool. Another thing you're going to get to encounter or do when you're there, because it just reopened, is Hall of Presidents.
Yes.
So
Hall of Presidents just reopened.
You're going to have to do it because it's probably going to be one of the last times you get to.
Yeah, they might be shutting it down. We talked about that in one of our other episodes. So
I predict that it's going to happen. They're going to make an announcement. Look, this is the last president we're updating for. It's going to shut down because they might need that area for like some sort of a walkway or something to get back to Villains Land potentially. Who knows?
Well, it's also an interesting situation where you have a president who was president for one term. You have another president that they had to create an animatronic for.
Right.
And now that president that was president previously, you can use that same animatronic again.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it popped up a little bit quicker, in time for July 4th weekend, because I'm assuming that they take this. I don't think they're going to change the animatronic too much.
No.
I mean, he's aged a little bit, just to be honest. I mean, that's not a knock at him. That's just life.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that he looks that different from one time period to the other. So they could use the same Donald Trump animatronic.
I would assume so. I would assume they just kind of reverted everything back.
Yep. And then include stuff from maybe the current inaugural speech.
Right.
So that'll be opened up. So I'm going to do that when I'm there.
Cool.
Because
you don't know how much longer.
I know. And I know it's a favorite of your son and your family. So
it is.
And it's also a nice break from the heat too. And
it's a very good break. Apparently it's the longest break from
what
the
did we
heat.
say, 22 minutes?
Something like that.
Yeah.
22, 24. Yeah.
Okay. What else do I have on my list? So I saw something on Instagram the other day.
Yeah.
that showed aerial photos from BioReconstruct. I feel like everybody knows this person's name. His name is not actually, his first name is not Bio. His he has a name, but he likes to remain anonymous, so that's his username, and he prefers people to refer to him as that.
Yeah.
And he takes these aerial photos.
Yeah, does a great job.
And he does a great job. And this Instagram account said they're clearing the area to start Villains Land. Now, this area that they were showing is on the opposite side. So we'll say the left or the west side of Tiana's, which is beyond Big Thunder. But I don't believe that that is it at all. I believe that that is for staging, which is offices for construction vehicles, all that stuff goes back there.
Yeah.
I believe.
I agree.
And I think this was inaccurate. And I also, from all the reports that I've seen, the area north of Tom Sawyer, north of Haunted Mansion, is where Villains Land is supposed to be. So I don't like to post back to these accounts. I don't like people.
You didn't, did you?
No.
I was going to say, because here's the thing. I wonder if that was intentional.
Oh, to get people clicking and
people will do stuff like that intentionally to get engagement. We don't do that, but there are people who will purposely make mistakes.
Yeah.
And then like let it run with people commenting, you're wrong, and then it drives, the algorithm is what it is, and so it drives more traffic their way. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was an honest mistake.
Who knows?
I don't believe that that's clearing the land for that.
No.
Another thing that got a lot of creators were putting out there this week was, oh my gosh, did you see what Florida Tourism Central?
Oh
Florida,
God, I know what you're gonna say.
Oh my gosh, they're opening a
fifth gate. They're opening.
Like, no, they approved the literal same thing they've approved for the last 5 years, 10 years. That says by the year 2045, we will potentially develop a fifth gate.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything. Like, it's the same thing has to be approved every year. That's it.
It's all this clickbaity stuff, and then it just grows and grows. Oh, they're opening a fifth park. Could they? Sure.
Yeah.
Is there plans for it? Who knows? But that's not an official announcement.
No. Do I think that we could be hearing something like that this summer? Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely to hear it next summer.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we'll hear it this summer.
Or maybe they hint at something and then they don't give any details until the summer after.
Who
knows?
My suspicion is that they're going to lean heavily on reveals of the Villains Land plans and the Cars area and Monsters. I think that's what they're going to lean heavily on, because that's usually a smaller. Yeah. This year is usually a smaller one. So we'll see. I don't know, but it's definitely not a fifth gate right now. I don't think so.
Well, could be, but not at this moment.
Yeah.
Not as of June 2025.
No.
This last one's not really a news bit, but I just thought it was really interesting and kind of a fun video. Friend of the show, Ear Scouts Rob, made a video that came out a couple weeks ago, because I'm starting to get ready for my trip, and I'm looking at all the Lightning Lane multi-pass and single pass stuff. So I started going back, and I watch Ear Scouts Rob on a regular basis, but now I'm starting to really like hone in and really get an idea of how that works. And I've done it. Last summer was we're one of the first groups of people that got to try that.
Yeah.
So I've done it before, but I just want to level up, so to speak. So I'm watching his video, and Rob was showing this trick that he had learned from some of his friends, where when you go and you have a Lightning Lane pass, let's say it's for noon, right?
Yep.
And you can go, and usually it's within a minute or two you can go in.
11:55.
11:55.
Yeah.
So one of the hacks was, he found out that when you go to Navi River Journey specifically, I'll get to that in a minute, you can actually tap in 14 minutes, not 15, 14 minutes in advance. And it worked. And then he said, well, I'm going to try this out elsewhere around the park.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
Well, he tries it out, so I'm going to try to make this a little plug for him too. Watch the video to see if it actually works anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, kind of an interesting video. It's fun to see these little hacks here and there. So if you're really into going to Disney parks, and you're really into like maximizing your time and just learning how all that works, I love watching Ear Scouts for that reason. So
even like waiting like later into your window to use your tickets allows you longer or an earlier book of your stuff. So like if you are literally booking 3 days away from when you're going to get less than if you're booking, say, I don't know, 10 days away. When you buy tickets, you buy a 3-day ticket, you tell them your first day of use. It's good for a certain number of days after that first day of use. So there's a potential that you could push those days out.
Yeah.
And, if you've not lied, but if you've said one thing about what your first day of use would be, the further ones away, you'll be able to maybe book better rides. So
last thing with Lightning Lane is they've kind of changed the system a little bit for booking your dining.
Yes.
And they give you instead of just choosing one thing, they give you like a series of days and what the availability is.
Yeah.
So I tried that the other day when I was going in and booking meals for our trip, and it was fun. It was convenient, and I ended up booking something. It's going to be a surprise for my wife, so I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
In case she's listening.
All right.
She does fairly often.
You'll have to tell me when we're off the air.
Yes.
Because I won't reveal it. I won't spoil it.
No.
I
neither will I. Neither will I. Okay.
Yeah. Any other news?
No, that was quite a bit. Well, there is. And on our Patreon, if you haven't listened already, if you're not a patron, we're going to be discussing the new movie Elio and its opening and some interesting reactions. I have not seen it yet.
Neither have I.
We're interested in seeing it.
Yes.
Did we talk about Snow White at all? Or did you and I have that conversation at work?
In our personal lives, we did. We did not talk about it on air.
Okay. I watched Snow White. I was not really a huge fan of it.
I watched it and thought it was good.
Right.
Let me maybe change that. I thought it wasn't deserving of the hate that it got.
That's fair.
That's different than saying it's good. You know what I mean? Like, it was an average live interpretation of the story. By that I mean it wasn't as bad as some of the other ones. It's not Lion King. It's not one of these really good live action ones. It was, like Aladdin, I think, is a fantastic live action one. This is not fantastic, but it's not bad, in my opinion.
My take was, if you took most of the songs out, I think I would have been okay with it. The songs seemed clunky and forced.
The early ones, I was like, this is going to be awful. But I kind of felt the same way about like Lion King. Or Mufasa, I mean.
Well, I mean, if you leave in the Hi-Ho song, and kind of cut the rest of it, just make it less of a musical and just kind of a movie, I think I would have been okay with it. But
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, that's it for news.
All right, we're gonna head off to the halftime, which is brought to you always by our patrons over at patreon.com/DizListPod. If you join over there for free, you'll have access to our chat group, and you'll also, get added to our close friends if you give us your Instagram handle. And then additionally, if you pay a small fee, about the cost of a cup of coffee a month, you'll actually get early access to new episodes. You'll get bonus content and kind of something to put that coffee in, which is a mug after 3 months of being a member. So we're going to head off to the halftime show, and we'll see you right after this. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 pre-shows, top 10 ride pre-shows.
Yep. And I figured we could fit in 10. I mean,
yeah, the early ones especially, there's not a lot to talk about because they're okay.
We made this list together.
We did.
A couple things we ended up moving because of certain people are bigger fans of this or that, but I mean, I think once you're talking 5 through 10, a lot of them you could kind of move.
I think 6 through 10 you could move around. 5, I think the top 5 we have. I think that order we agree on pretty solidly.
Yes.
So, I'll start off because this one I know will hurt you. So I think number 10 is Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
Whether you're a fan of Aerosmith or not, I do think that you have to respect the idea of that pre-show. As a musician, I think you can kind of get behind it.
If it were any other, well, not any other band. I have a handful of bands I could completely do without. Like,
Yeah.
if it were a Nickelback or a Disturbed pre-show.
I think Creed would do well.
Those guys are decent musicians, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not like a fan of the band.
You'd accept that with arms wide open?
Well, fun fact: their guitar player, who's not the singer of the band,
Not Scott Stapp, the other guy.
I can't think of the guy's name off the top of my head.
Okay.
But he, when he is not playing guitar in Creed, he sings the lead singer in a Frank Sinatra cover band.
Huh.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, so Rock and Roller Coaster is number 10 for you.
Yeah. And
For us.
Yeah.
For us. Yeah.
I mean,
it is a cool concept.
It'd be a
and
really cool.
idea.
I think they should not scrap it. That's that good of a pre-show that they shouldn't scrap it. They should just redo it or update it somehow for the Muppets.
Yeah, agree. I was looking at some video footage again when I was watching the Ear Scouts video, because I'm in pretty deep as far as prepping for my trip
planning,
here, and looking at that car. So there's a car there. The upside down car when you walk in. How easy would it be to turn that car into themed of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Man?
100%.
You just paint the car, like, easy update.
Absolutely.
Paint the guitar to look like, kind of those psychedelic colors. I think this is going to be a layup as far as retheming. I really do. It's going to
we helped them out pretty well. We called this 3 years ago.
Years and years ago. Yeah.
So what we got for number 9?
Number 9 is it's good news, bad news.
Yes.
So the good news is that Test Track makes our number 9, and it makes our list. And one of our favorite things, my son and your son, my son said yesterday, we were talking about this a little bit, and I said, or he said to me, "Oh yeah, I was with Nick's wife. You can say her name if you want, Julie. Julie and I made this cool boat car," and he remembered specifically what they made, and it meant a lot to him. And we're like, sorry, buddy, that part of the ride is no more.
Yeah.
So, but I will say there's sort of a reason that when you're on the ride, it's, again, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Right.
But once you actually go on the ride, you can kind of see why everyone can't make their own custom things anymore.
Well, that, and I mean, they kind of ended up doing exactly what we thought they would do. Lean into the more environmentally sound things.
Right, and those are actually
that's
in
part
the
of
pre-show
that's part
now.
in that pre-show now, right?
Recycling and the futuristic cars. It looks very cool.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of the queue right next door for Guardians of the Galaxy, where you're walking around and you're seeing all the things of the wonders of Xandar and all. It seems very similar to that, where there is stuff to read and look at. It's kind of like you're walking through a museum on your way to the ride, which I like. And again, it kind of fits with that long-term theme of Epcot, where, hey, we're teaching you something here.
Yep.
You're learning something about the environment or our world or the future or cars, and that's pretty cool. So 9 Test Track for 2 different reasons: old Test Track and new Test Track, which we've only seen, we haven't experienced. So still makes our list at number 9. You want to do number 8?
I do, because number 8 has to do slightly with my college. Tower of Terror, Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. The pre-show there with Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah, Rod Serling.
Rod Serling was a professor at Ithaca, and was very, still is widely respected at Ithaca. There's all these awards for like our scholarships in his name there. There's multiple rooms within the park school named for him. So Tower of Terror. I think that ride in general, the queue. So the queue itself is underrated. Like when you go down into that basement, I think that's underrated, that they made it look, sound, feel so utterly
like an exact industrial basement in a building.
It's even like they don't pump in as much air conditioning down there. Like seriously, it kind of feels like that thick air.
It's drippy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, when they start doing the whole, basically the pre-show there, where you're like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen here? And then you just, because you could almost say everything before the drop is a pre-show.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. So when you get to the top and your cart comes out of the elevator, like that could all be part of that too.
Yeah, exactly.
I would consider that part of it too. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So Tower of Terror that's an underrated one, and people don't always think of that. You know, the kind of the spooky library. I don't know. Very, very cool. Very cool for Tower of Terror. Number 7 is kind of funny.
Another good news, bad news.
Yes. Number 7 is Dinosaur, which is going away.
Yeah.
But it's funny how many people kind of memorize
the lines.
The lines in this pre-show, and it also features Claire Huxtable, Felicia Rashad from the Cosby Show, from
it's
from
like
the 80s.
From back then. Like that is crazy.
She's one of these actresses who's very good. This is not a knock on Felicia Rashad at all, but she's one of those actresses who is always that one role for me. So when she comes on screen, I'm just like, oh, it's Claire Huxtable from the Cosbys.
Yeah.
Right? And that's who I think of. She just is so iconic in that role that I can't see her as really anything else.
I mean, you're not wrong. Mark Hamill's like that too.
Yes.
There's a lot. I mean, there are actors that you'll never see in a different way.
Right.
You know, Tim Allen, some could argue, was always going to be Tim the Toolman Taylor.
But he is.
And then he became Santa Claus, and now it's all I ever see him as.
Right.
And honestly, every single role he plays outside of those two, he ends up being one of those two. Either the jolly guy, or he ends up being the tool guy, or the car guy, or the uber, masculine dad or whatever. So
he's got a new sitcom that we watched a couple episodes of. It's not bad. I can't remember the name of it, but he works at an auto shop.
Yeah.
He's
always the same
He's
role.
that kind of character.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that Dinosaur for me is also one because of the memorization. Like everybody you go in there with, they're repeating and reciting the lines.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of comedy in that too. Number 6 is one that the cue is fantastic, and then you get to this part, and it's like, whoa, this is cool too.
Yeah.
And that is Flight of Passage.
The tech is pretty incredible that
when
they use.
When they get you and they're syncing you up, you're in that room, and we all know they're using that as control, like crowd control and timing control, so you don't feel like you're herded into this line the whole time, and you feel like you're making positive progression toward the ride itself. And Disney does a good job of that. That's really the whole point of a pre-show. But this pre-show, I think, was the first foray into like really transporting you. So you went into this room. They do that scan. They talk about the DNA. Talk about how they're going to sync you up. And that whole video there is just kind of like a way for them to really, okay, you've forgotten you were just in a line. You've forgotten you were waiting on that ramp. Now you're somewhere else. And then you're going to fly.
Well played.
So, I love that. I love that particular pre-show.
Have you ever been in there when it's looped?
Yes, I've had it.
I have too. They say something about, okay, we're going to scan you again. So it isn't, it's a loop, but it's not a loop.
Yeah, and it's likely because somebody needs help or assistance getting off. That's fine.
Another question. Have you ever been in there where it's been a younger kid that kind of thinks it's real? Last time we were there was a younger kid that said, "Mommy, are they really scanning us? What's happening?" And that's a testament to how real this tech seems, because you're looking at a screen and I don't know if they're picking up on the heat or what it is, but you can kind of see yourself up on the screen. Go ahead and wave your arms, which is, it's always kind of fun. But
I've never had that happen, no. But I do know that we have a colleague whose daughter like tapped out at that point. Was like, nope, not me. Wow. You're not syncing me to anything. Wow. So they ended up letting them do rider swap, which is nice.
Well, it's believable.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree. For a kid,
it's good news and bad
news.
For
a kid, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
All right, now these top 5 I feel are like, not that those bottom 5 were bad, because they're good, but these top 5 are like, wow.
Yes. So for this particular ride, I'll just get right to it. It's Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run.
The pre-show is better than the ride.
Exactly what I was going to say. For me personally, the pre-show is more entertaining. So you get to Hondo. So Hondo is, he's a character originally from the Rebels TV show. and he was just only really existed in cartoon form, and Disney made him into live action animatronic, and he's the person that you sort of meet in the main room before he brings you in for your coaxial mission, or coaxium.
Yeah, coaxium. Coaxial's a cable.
That's coaxial cable.
Yeah.
Okay, I was close. And then the best part, you walk down the hallway,
Yeah.
and we have a photo of this. This is one of my favorite photos of Nick and I and our sons. I think
Yep.
are in that too.
Yes, they are.
And we are sitting at the table, and waiting to get onto the Millennium Falcon, and that is just so cool.
It is.
So it's a show. That part, it really isn't a show. You're kind of waiting to get on the ride.
No, but
before that with Hondo, it definitely
that's one of the
is.
best animatronics
It is
in Disney World. Honestly,
it's very smooth.
Yep.
Yes. We should do another animatronics episode sometime soon too.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Millennium Falcon? I said a lot about that one.
I think the whole, first off, I think the queue is very well themed because you're walking through basically the parts dealer. It's just like you're walking through that area.
Mm-hmm.
The pre-show, I wish were somehow. I kind of wish that the pre-show, you have the pre-show and then you go back into waiting in a line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of these pre-shows, you're in the pre-show and then immediately following the pre-show, you're on.
Yep.
This pre-show, you're in it, right? Hondo's there, and then all of a sudden you're back into waiting in the line. Now, granted, you're waiting in a line in the Millennium Falcon, so that's a good thing.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just a thought.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4.
You want to take it anyway?
No, not at all. And what I was going to say is number 4 is one of my favorite things in all of Disney. But I think it's better if you say it because I just don't sound like a fanboy. That way, I'm going to have you describe what's so great about this because I will talk way too long about this. So,
number 4 is the Haunted Mansion. And to be honest, the Haunted Mansion pre-show is the granddaddy of them all. And that's because it is the original, in my opinion. I don't think there was one before it. And the fact that it was born out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. In Disney World, it's not a necessity. In Disneyland, it was a necessity.
Yes.
And it was born out of necessity, and they thought, how can we do this? And then we're like, we're going to make the stretching room. That scene where they're dropping you, or in Disney World, it's going up, it is so amazing, right? You walk in, the door closes, and it's the very first, the fact that the Imagineers did this then, there's all of a sudden, there's no doors, no windows, how are you going to get out? It's always my way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, boom, a door opens up underneath the umbrella lady. Those, the artwork in there is so iconic. People buy prints of that to hang up.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I love that. And Rob said he doesn't want to sound like a fanboy because he's always talking about how much he loves this.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things, period.
I will tell you, this could, 5 years ago, this would be number 1. 5 years ago. If you think about it, quite literally 5 years ago, this would have been number 1. This is the original. It is the like I said, born out of necessity, and it still connects every single time.
I love that it really sets the tone, and it really is creepy when you're in there and there's no windows and no doors. And even if you've been on the ride a million times, it's still slightly unsettling to have the lights completely go out, and it gets you ready for what you're about to see. And one of the greatest positives about the Haunted Mansion in general is it's very spooky, but there's also that element of humor. So when you look at those stretching photos, they're kind of funny.
Yeah.
They're scary, but there's humorous aspects to it.
Guy standing there with his boxers on. It's all
it is
kind of comical in a way.
It's the perfect marriage of the two things.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
I think it's brilliant personally. And like I said, the fact that it was something like that was an afterthought, it wasn't originally going to be, it was like, hey, we have to find a way to get down underneath.
Yeah.
What do we do? And then, how about this? It's brilliant. Why don't you go on to number 3?
Number 3 is absolutely incredible. And this is I actually will watch this on YouTube in slow motion to really see how this is done. And it is the pre-show for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And when you walk in and you watch this cartoon with Goofy and Mickey, you're in a little mini theater and you're looking up at the screen, you're having a great time, but then all of a sudden the wall blasts open and there's smoke, and it's just incredible how they do that, and they trick me every time.
Yeah.
I've seen how they do it.
Yeah.
But it's just incredible to see in person, because it just is like, oh my God, just blew a hole in the wall. It's so cool.
So what I like about this pre-show especially is that the cast member is playing a role. They're interacting with Goofy. I remember when this ride debuted, some creators had went in. It was for a media preview, and you saw the ride, but you couldn't see. Disney wouldn't let them show the pre-show.
Cool.
And I'm like,
why not?
Why would you not show the pre-show? And then I went and wrote it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's why.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
It is.
Because it's and even the fact that it's when you leave, you don't leave through the same door, but it feels like you did, or not door, but screen opening. It feels like you did because that screen is now peeled open, and you're walking through.
It's so cool.
It is such a great effect. And yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal. Now, again, like a few years ago, this didn't even exist.
Yep.
So, number 2, I don't think should be a surprise to people that this is this high. It might be a surprise that it's not number 1.
I think a lot of people could go either way, but we have a reason why.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, go for it.
Number 2 for us is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah.
It's so well done in much the same way that Haunted Mansion transforms the room, right? You go in, the door's in one place, and then there's not the whole room transforms around you. And they tell you step to the middle. It's at first you're like, okay, step to the middle, take up all the space.
Yep.
And I didn't really understand why they were herding us in there.
Wow. You and I were standing together. We experienced this for the first time.
Yeah.
Our minds were blown.
And then like the flashing lights to kind of disorient you, and then boom, you're in a different room because somehow they have the hydraulics that work so quickly.
Oh, it's incredible.
That lifts the entire facade of that room out of the way. It is simultaneously like awe-inspiring as far as because you're thinking literal, right? As like if you're thinking about the engineering of it.
Yeah.
But then it's also like transporting you in magical, like in a way that you want to forget that what they actually did. You want to forget that it's hydraulics that just put it really does feel like you just got transported.
Yeah.
It is so cool.
It's fantastic.
It really is. And really you could say that there's more to that pre-show than just that too, because there's like the room before, and then before that is like they have the interviews on the wall. I think they do a really good job in that queue.
Yes.
I truly do. I don't feel like I ever really waited there.
I have a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this or if this is even a thing, but in a lot of places, we'll use Haunted Mansion as an example, there's 2 stretching rooms.
Yeah.
You go left, you go right.
Yeah.
90% of the time I go to the right. I have gone to the left before years ago, but almost always I go to the right now. For this particular attraction, are there multiple of those rooms? Like, let's say the hydraulics get goofed up pulling the walls up. Do they have a plan B to take you into the room next door?
That's a wonderful question, because
I never thought of that till just now when you were talking about the hydraulics. I thought, what if that breaks?
I mean, I think single rider bypasses that. So if single rider bypasses that, there's got to be a way to get like a room that they can go through. But yeah, if that malfunctions, how do you get through it?
I don't know.
Like, is there a manual lift and it just locks in place and you don't have that part of the pre-show?
I mean, I would see them, the B mode, if they don't have a separate room, you go into that room and it already looks like what it's supposed to be transformed. And they just have a cast member saying, step to the middle, like don't walk through the door to the way to the right yet. So, just curious.
I'm going to, that can be our call to action. If you've experienced that, where it's in B mode, or if you've bypassed that somehow, let us know. Because I've never heard of anybody or seen anything like that, which is odd because a lot of stuff breaks down at Disney.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
Speaking of breaking down.
Yes. Our number one is Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
Which people are probably guessing at this point. Now, the first couple times, I'm going to let Nick jump in here because the first few times that Nick has experienced this ride, I mean, we rode it together, but this was open before we did our vacation together, and you didn't get to experience the entire pre-show.
Multiple
times. There's bits and pieces that you got to experience.
So the first time I rode it, I got to experience the entire pre-show, but then the rest of it was not right. So like the animatronic in the ride wasn't working. They had to hold us back. And then since we were already loaded, they let us go through because they had to, because we were already loaded and there was no way out. So they let the car go through. And then after they did that, they gave us a free fast pass to come back later. We came back later, rode it a second time. That's fine. Right. It was good. But when we had that fast pass the second time, we bypassed almost all the pre-show. So like Ray and all that, we bypassed. So when you bypass even one of those pre-shows, the rest of them don't make sense.
Yeah. You're right.
So for me, this is when it's a full pre-show, it's definitely the most awe-inspiring, the craziest.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we had to move it up to 1. Because initially I had said Guardians is 1.
Yeah. And then for me, my response back to you was that when you walk in with all the stormtroopers and you're on I don't know specifically if you're not on the Death Star because it's not part of that time period. The Death Star would have already been gone. You're just on a Star Destroyer, basically. Yeah. Walking into that room for the first time or the 5th time, which I have done, it's incredible every single time. But I don't know if you feel this way or not. When I go into that room, I want to just be there for a little bit. But you and I work for a school, and we're rule followers in the back of our head.
Yeah.
So we're both thinking, okay, we need to
They're
move
yelling
through.
at you because they're move along.
Yes.
Catch up with your party.
Right.
And I love that room, and the actors, the cast members there.
Yes.
Are wonderful. They do a great job lining you up for your transport. I think
I would love that job.
Yeah, I think and they do a great. I would too, because like I love messing with people. Like,
oh my God, we do it all day long.
But you know what I mean? Like when kids are like, if I have my seniors and there's like these kids out in the sophomore hallways right outside my room.
You go watch this.
Yeah, I do. I go watch
this.
These kids are being loud. Watch this, and I go out and just pretend like I'm actually really angry and I was in the middle of like teaching this like most important lesson. And they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
Love it.
So, I think I would like to mess with people like that. The grandeur of that room when you walk in is, I think, second only to, now I haven't experienced it, but second only to what I've seen over at Universal in the, what is it, the flu, whatever you want to, when you're going in to see, what is her name?
Ask my son, he's
the
playing the
trial.
Harry Potter video game right now.
The trial, when you're going into the trial. Yeah. And like that particular room at the Ministry of Magic, that looks more grand than this. This is the only one that is, like, that's the only one I can think of that's grander than this. You walk in there, and even how much they've polished that ridiculous, it's Professor McGonagall, I think. No, that's the good one. Whatever it is. But the way that floor is polished, like, it's reflecting everything. It's so good. It is so ridiculously good. And then, like, it's never ending, because then you think you're done with the pre-show, then they get into this transport, and then you get rescued by the Resistance. It's just crazy. So
Dolores Umbridge.
There you go, Dolores Umbridge. That's right, with all her cats.
Yeah, I've seen those movies once and enjoyed them. I didn't read the books. I'm not a huge Harry Potter person, but
she's the most frustrating character I think in the entire movie. Just because, like, we all know somebody like her, unfortunately. So yeah, that's our list. We did a pretty good job getting through all 10 of those.
Yeah. Let us know if we forgot anything.
I don't think we did.
Is there something that somebody loves that we didn't put on there, like talking to Scuttle before,
somebody had that. That was on a list that said that was part of our pre-show. That's not a pre-show. That's part of the queue.
Yeah. It's same thing with Mr. Potato Head. I thought of that one too. Sometimes you get to see Mr. Potato Head in Midway Mania.
Sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Tron.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get that room that, like, the wall all of a sudden becomes transparent.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. Like, it depends on how quickly you're. Now, I think now it's more consistent.
Yeah.
But when it was doing boarding passes or whatever you want to call it, virtual queue, that wasn't the case. So, but yeah, this was fun. This kind of came out of a show a few weeks ago that we did for Q's. We said, pre-shows are a whole other beast.
They are.
And as a result, here we are. We're talking about those. Let us know if you guys have any ideas or things that you'd like to hear us talk about. We would really appreciate it. We love hearing from you, whether it's on social media or hitting us up over on our Patreon. But yeah, we look forward to hearing from our listeners. That's for sure.
Yep.
But it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.